Welcome back to the channel, Crypto Trend Trader, with a quick update on Bitcoin. But before we get started, I want to remind you this is not financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. These markets are extremely volatile, so please do your own research and trade responsibly. Many of you may not realize that this channel is only about 6 months old, and it's come to my attention that in the last couple of months, I picked up 50 to 75 subscribers, which basically about like half of my subscriber base. So a lot of you are new and don't really take the time, I'm sure, to go back and look at my old videos and check out my old calls and everything. But I'm sure, as you see, that more often than not, I am right about price action, or at least like the levels and direction. So I just want to just do like a quick little recap. I don't claim to always call like market tops and market bottoms, but the proof is in the pudding. Let's go back and just take a quick look at this video from December 28th and see what we had going on here.
Man, the way this looks right here, and again, don't mind the dirtiness of this chart because there's stuff everywhere, and I don't know how reliable any of it is, honestly, just because it's old stuff on here. But if we essentially get that test back up in this range right here, which it looks like we're getting ready to do, what is that going to play out to? So I mean, that basically looks like the head and shoulders playing out perfect to me. And obviously, the measured move off the head and shoulders is basically.
Keep in mind, I was on vacation.
I'll tell you that much.
So this TA is on the
So
fly.
from the neckline, we've got the break right here, and it's basically going to take us right back down to our support zone here at 64.24 range. And I think if we come down and we test this area again for a third time, I think it's more likely to break. But again, depending on what happens and how price action looks, I'll definitely play it by ear. But it does not look likely that it would hold another time if we come back down and test it. And we could expect some kind of support off of this red diagonal trend line, but again, it's a little too sketchy to be making any trades off of. But in the meantime, I think this area here, the 7,000 range, is going to be a strong support. So if I was going to take a trade to the upside, it would be on the retest of the 7,000. And if I was going to take a trade to the downside, it would be either on the retest of 7,400 or, I would like to honestly see us come up here and tag the 377 on the 4 hour and then sell off, which would put us all the way up at 77.31, which would potentially be like 8% move or so. So there's potential to the upside, but again, crypto trend trader, we trade with the trend, and trend has been down for a long time. Let's switch gears here for a minute and take a look at something a little bit different. Let me clean this up just a little and see what we're working with. So as far as resistance and support, you can see we've been trading in this downward sloping channel. We're going to continue trading in this downward sloping channel, and then inside of that channel, you can see the range that we've been trading in is that same range that I've had plotted out here for literally, weeks. And I'm just going to extend it out a little further because, we're just going to assume that the purple is going to be our resistance inside this range, or, you could even use the fib level in blue here. And actually, I'm not sure why I have it. I actually really like it better, around there. But essentially, until we break that range to the upside or break that range to the downside, I wouldn't be getting bullish or bearish necessarily on. For a move outside of the range until it happens, because the most likely thing to happen is that we'll continue, to bounce around within this range. And, obviously this is the key range in this level here at like that 7,083 level. But, again, I wouldn't consider the range broken until we get like a confirmed candle close, like basically down here in this region, like at the 6,600 range. And, at this point in time, I don't necessarily think that's likely, but it's not necessarily, unlikely either. So, again, we're basically right in the middle of this channel right now. We got the close right at the heart line, and we're now consolidating above it, this green diagonal trend line heart line here. So it is possible at this point in time, that we could see a little rally off here. And again, looking at this looks sort of like the opposite. This almost looks like, oh man, to tell you the truth, looking at it, not to call out the same pattern like a bunch of times or anything, but this actually looks like an inverse head and shoulders to me. And if this head and shoulders plays out inside the inverse head and shoulders, this could play out as well. So we would essentially get, the head down here, shoulder here, or I'm sorry, shoulder there, neck there, head here, and then again, a little bit of a slant is not necessarily a bad thing in a pattern like this, because you would expect it to be weaker of a sell-off on the second time around. I'm sorry, weaker of a bounce on the second time around. But essentially, if we sold back off, to this area down in here, we could potentially get something to play out like this.
We like symmetry, though.
I mean, realistically.
There it is.
I like try to look for symmetry between the points. So at this point in time, I think it's more likely that this is not like our neckline right here, and that the neckline would come back up for one more test. But it is possible that it could play out like this, at sort of like a slope like that. The pattern is more likely to play out. In this case, though, essentially, like we were saying, if our 4-hour situation plays off and we get the pushback to the upside before the sell-off, if we get the push up and then we get the sell-off here, that would essentially be the head and shoulders playing out. We get the jump back down to the bottom support area here, and then we find support at the 600 range, and then we get the strong push all the way back up to the top of the range here at 78.54. That is going to put our head and shoulders at, oh look, pretty much the top of the range, key fib level, and that's basically going to give us like that 9,400 range, which would be a massive move from where we're at right now, and a great way to start off this year, which would, just like I was saying, give us an awesome first quarter, and then I think we would potentially be selling back off, for after that. But again,
All right, so that was on December 28th. So find somebody that identified that price action prior to it happening, and you win a prize. And then here's from February 15th, okay? So that was at the absolute bottom. We obviously got the push up, came back down, got the head and shoulders inverted. It played out perfectly, overperformed. We came all the way up, to the long time trending resistance here in purple. And this is now on February 15th, my video, calling the absolute top.
Sight of where we're at here, because it's easy to just do like an extra little move up here and have like a little week of continuation or whatever, and psych people out and everything, and get people to go all in and long, and essentially like long the top, and then we sell back off here and get like that main retracement. But just look at where the confluence is and where this is all lining up and everything, and I think it'll be very clear to you, that we may be in danger here potentially in the near future, that we need to be like paying attention to that. And if we look at like the weekly and everything, it still looks good on our indicators, and then switching over to the daily, we did get the sell signal, hard sell at the top right here, so we'll see what happens in this situation. We're still honestly curled to the upside on the indicators for now, but again, they are lagging, so we don't expect them to like tell us ahead of time necessarily. But what we're looking to see what happens is something like this, where we essentially like couldn't find support after the breakout, and then it sold back off, and it'd be like violent continuation. So it's not just going to happen like in one candle, but we're looking for like a key fib retracement, and that's where like this zone right here, you see how all this is lining up in one area. That's a likely area that we're going to come down and test. We will see reactions off some of these other areas, but when you see a bunch of the fibs lining up like this, and you start getting like that thick line all in one spot, that's how you know like that's a strong support area or strong resistance area. Look for like direct interaction between those areas. So I'm going to go ahead and make this chart with the indicators and everything public in the description. So if you want to use this, add onto it, or actually just use it. I don't think you can modify it, but you're more than welcome to do so, and the indicators will be available as well. And this is not financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. These markets are extremely volatile, so please do your own research and trade responsibly. Crypto trend trader, and be careful because it's starting to look like we're going to get that continuation now to the downside as we're starting to lose like key levels and potentially retest like some of these key Fibonacci zones. So protect your capital and don't jump into any like FOMO trades. Be responsible in this situation. And remember that dollar cost averaging not always the best idea in a downtrend, but dollar cost averaging in an uptrend is not necessarily a bad strategy. So just be mindful of some of these things. Don't just like throw everything in the pot because you got one indicator that says we're in a bull trend, or one influencer, or whatever says like this is it. We're going to new highs. Be very careful in these situations because what people say they're doing versus what they're actually doing is not always the same thing. One, and two, just because somebody is on TV doesn't mean that they know what they're doing. So, crypto trend trader, and I'm signing off.
Wow, couldn't have said it better myself. But anyway, enough floating my own boat. All right, and that's it for today, crypto trend trader, and I'm out of here.